Our top story, the air emergency continues to be our big focus. It is the fourth consecutive day and regions across North India are shrouded in a toxic haze. Delhi, UP and Haryana are reporting pollution in the extreme category, at least 13 times the World Health Organization's safe limit. Pollution is expected to go down to the very poor levels from today, but the thick smog engulfing Delhi is unlikely to lift at least till Sunday, as there is no let-up in farm fires, mainly from Punjab. While agricultural stubble burning in Haryana has reduced, it continues in Punjab, and adding to the woes are calm surface winds which are not dispersing the smog at all. The Supreme Court mandated authority, the EPCA, EPCA, has extended the ban on nighttime construction activity in Delhi and surrounding national capital regions of the national capital till Saturday. Meanwhile, Delhiites have geared up as odd-even kickstarts from the 4th of November. Well, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal says that pollution has increased a lot in Delhi because of stubble burning. That's why the government has decided that all schools will be closed till the 5th of November. The toxic air emergency, how badly is this affecting you? That's something that we are looking at very, very closely on ndtv 24/7. Call us on 011-416-35872, 416-35872 to share your experiences. Well, joining us now, Dr. Vivek Nangia, the Director and Head of Pulmonology at Fortis Hospital. So thanks very much for joining us. And in your professional assessment at this stage, with the levels crossing the 500 mark, what does this mean for people who live not just in Delhi, but across large parts of North India?
So, air pollution has been labeled as an invisible killer, but now as we are seeing things around us, it's actually becoming visible and is visibly harming each one of us individually at a slow pace probably initially, and this would only go on worsening. An AQI level of more than 500 actually is a life-threatening kind of a situation, especially not only for those people who are highly vulnerable, like the young children or the adults or those who are suffering with asthma, COPD, heart diseases, but even for any normal individual also. It is not a level at which we would ever recommend anybody to move out of their houses. They should actually be closed indoors and not moving out, especially as far as the sports activities are concerned or strenuous physical activities are concerned. They should be completely banned.
All right. Well, also joining us at this stage is S.N. Tripathi. Thanks very much for joining us. Professor S.N. Tripathi is of IIT Kanpur, an expert in researching pollution. So it just seems a hopeless situation. We keep talking about this every single year, year after year. The bottom line, is it at this juncture exclusively because of stubble burning in Haryana and in Punjab? Is that essentially the reason why we are essentially dying over here across large parts of North India? Professor Tripathi, can you hear me? All right, we don't have him at this stage. I'm also joined by Jayadhar Gupta, the founder of Nirvana Being. Mr. Gupta, thanks very much for speaking to us. You're wearing a mask on your face. A lot of people, some doctors in fact, say that mask is not useful enough because, air can enter from any area, and that essentially it's something which provides you a little psychological comfort. In terms of what we are facing now, it's not good enough. How would you respond to that?
I think that's absolutely incorrect. If you look at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, US studies, and they've done decades of studies on this, as long as you have a good mask, it needs to be CE certified N95, hopefully FFP2 at a minimum certification. The most important thing, so that ascertains that the filter is quality certified and is going to filter 95% of the pollution out. The other thing that's important in a mask, the most important thing in a mask is the fit. So a good mask always comes with instructions on how to wear the mask. If there's any leakage in your mask, it's absolutely useless for you. So, a mask is actually the easiest and the most cost-effective way to protect yourself and reduce your exposure. Because every black carbon nanoparticle, what we call PM2.5, every black carbon nanoparticle that's caught in the media filter of the mask is one less particle in your lung. We have to do whatever we can to reduce exposure. And it's impossible for children and adults to just stay indoors 24 hours. You'll have a huge carbon dioxide problem inside. It's not like you can open
But
your
let me
doors and
ask you
windows.
this, and this is to quote Dr. Randeep Guleria of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, one of the foremost specialists in the country in his area. Do masks and respirators work? He says, masks are something that we don't routinely recommend, though if high-risk patients want to use one, we ask them to use a 3-layered surgical mask or N95, as you were mentioning, worn tightly across the nose. If it's loosely worn, you create a negative pressure when you inhale, and air gets sucked in from the side instead of the filter, then the mask is of no use. You have to have a mask that's tightly fitted. Now, that's easier said than done because it's uncomfortable. It's not easy. So if you've got children, you've got elderly, not wearing the mask properly, it doesn't really help. Would you agree?
So, actually that statement by Dr. Guleria is misleading, and I'm an expert on masks. Just like Dr. Guleria is an expert on medicine and pulmonology, I'm an expert on masks. So you cannot wear a surgical mask to avoid air pollution. A surgical mask function is to filter exhaled air. Okay, so healthcare workers wear it to protect their patients from any infection that may be in their breath. The function of a pollution mask is to filter inhaled air. That is why I'm drawing your attention to studies by CDC in America, because they've done decades of work on this, and there are studies. You have to follow instructions. You have to buy certified masks. There's a lot of junk available in the market that's not certified. It's essentially a piece of cloth that you're putting across your face, and it's not going to protect you from what's really harmful in the air, which is PM 2.5.
So let me take that across to Dr. Nangia. Dr. Nangia, what is your feeling about this? Do you believe that there is enough data which suggests that the use of masks can actually help people in areas like the National Capital Region? And what are your thoughts about air purifiers, considering the fact that particularly in India, most houses are not vacuum sealed? Do air purifiers really help?
So, Vishnu, that brings us basically to two parts. You have to break down the air pollution into its basic constituents. One is the PM 2.5, PM 5 particles, and the other are the toxic gases like the sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, ozone. So when we are using N95 masks, we are actually protecting ourselves from PM 2.5 and smaller particles. Almost 95% of those particles will get filtered out. But as far as toxic gases are concerned, we would not be able to protect ourselves from those toxic gases. So what is my take on N95 masks? That yes, we should protect ourselves as much as we can. It's like, when it's raining outside and it's heavily raining, you wear a raincoat, you carry an umbrella, and still you get wet. But still you cover yourself only to be able to protect yourself as much as you can. So something is always better than nothing. And of course, Dr. Guleria is absolutely right in saying that it has to be a very snugly fitted mask, which should be covering the nose and the mouth properly. Yes, it is uncomfortable, but then I guess if we are being subjected to this kind of a toxic air around us, then we have no choice but to remain uncomfortable. And at least we are protecting ourselves from the toxic gases around us. So that is very important. Now coming on to the second part of your question about air purifiers at home. Again, this is not something that we could be recommending it to all across the board, because one, the costs are involved. Most people may not be able to afford it. Most people may not be able to seal their rooms completely. But again, if you look at the CDC guidelines and the other WHO guidelines as well, they do mention that air purifiers are able to control the air pollutions to some extent in the indoors as well. But of course, the room has to be tightly sealed. The air purifier has to be of a proper quality, proper filters, and also that it has to be according to the size of the room. The size of the air purifier has to be determined by the size of the room, the number of the movements that are happening. So all that needs to be taken care of. But then there are studies which have shown that in homes with children with asthma, when they were using air purifiers, then the degree of inflammation in the lungs was lesser. The degree of exacerbation of asthma in the kids was lesser. But of course, again, we don't have very large scale studies, but whatever we have, this is the data that is available to us.
So let me just show our viewers this image. Let's see if we can possibly zoom in on this image. It's the Suffer app. It's one among several easy apps which you can use. And if you look at the app and you take a look at the overall air situation in Delhi, it's at 533. 533 on the PM 2.5 count. You know, I mean, that's beyond severe. It's got 400 to 500 as severe on the scale over here, and it's actually got way beyond that at this juncture at 533, and I don't know how much further it goes. And if you actually go to various parts of Delhi, because it gives you the option of doing that, then you know it's actually worse than 533 in many places. So that gives you an idea of just how bad the situation is. I just want to go across to Jaydhar Gupta once again. Jaydhar, you've got an app with you, and what exactly does it indicate in terms of what we are breathing in our studio right now?
You know, the AQI in the studio right now is 370, and let me just tell you, this is the best time of the day.
AQI is that PM 2.5 or PM 10?
No, I'm telling you the air quality index. So that's all of the above. So it kind of takes the primary pollutant, which right now is PM 2.5, and displays that. So PM 2.5 right now is possibly about 3.
Okay, it says PM 2.5 is 374, which is horrific.
No, it's saying the primary pollutant is PM 2.5, and that's driving the AQI of 375. You know, I just want to tell this to people that I don't think anybody should be outdoors beyond 6 p.m. today, because if it's 375, well, that's inside. If it's 533 outside right now, it's going to go to like 800 plus by you know, the moment the air starts cooling, the pollutant starts settling, you know, closer to where we breathe. Nobody should be outside. Nobody should even be walking in these conditions. Just shallow breathe. You know, the whole conversation of masks and air purifiers, absolutely they work. You know, they're just protective solutions to, you know, reduce our exposure. But again, it's a private solution for a public problem. You know, that's what it is. It's what we did with drinking water. We created plastic, you know, bottles of water because that was the easiest thing to do.
All right, well, that gives you an idea of just how bad the situation is. But the thickness of the smog hanging over Delhi can be gauged from a couple of these images, which we'll play on the screen. This shows one of Delhi's landmarks, the Humayun's Tomb. We'll bring you images of what it looked like on the 27th of August. Let's have that picture, if we can, of Humayun's Tomb on the 27th. That's on your extreme left. Then on the 28th. So on the 27th, this was where the air quality index was 117. On the 28th, it was at the 345 mark. And on the 1st of November, today, it's at the 453 mark. In fact, now it's much worse than 453. In the context of our national capital, it's absolutely absurd. These numbers are off the charts. And this goes on year after year after year. It's truly frightening. Well, that's what we have for you in terms of the situation. Just a quick reminder to our viewers that schools are shut in the National Capital Region till the 5th of this month. The air quality index numbers are out now well beyond the 500 mark. It's been declared as an emergency situation by the Supreme Court Monitoring Panel, EPCA. Construction activity has been stopped in the national capital. The diesel generator sets have been stopped. Firecrackers, for what it's worth, has been banned right through the new year. Not that it really matters. Diwali is over. Nobody seemed to care then. And doctors warning everybody that this is an absolutely critical situation. We'll take a break at this stage, come back with more news from across the country, and we're going to follow this very, very closely. This evening I'll be at near about the India Gate area to try and give you an idea of just how bad the situation is in the National Capital Region. This is perhaps the biggest landmark in Delhi, and if you're just a few hundred meters ahead of it, in air pollution as bad as it is presently in Delhi, it seems to disappear. It's absolutely bizarre.